everybody, and welcome to After the Tempest has a cast Q&A. So this process, as we all know, has been quite exceptional, I suppose, under the circumstances. You know, After the Tempest initially was going to be live, and it's been rewritten because of the circumstances with coronavirus and things. So because of that, a lot of people had a lot of questions, and we thought, you know what? Let's do a cast Q&A. So I'm going to bring everybody in one by one. We're going to have a little chat. It's going to be really informal. It's going to be really nice. Oh, and I probably should have introduced myself. So I'm Zsara. You might not recognise me because I don't look crazy, but I play Prospero in Cast Red. I'm also the digital director and editor of the pieces, so I edited both of the plays. And also I run the social media, and I'm the course rep. And now I'm a Q&A host. So it's gonna be a long resume. Okay, let's bring everybody in first. So let's add my other half. We are bringing in the lovely Tabatha Pegg, who also played Prospero. We have her. Here she is. This is the one, the only, the Tabatha Pegg from Cast Blue. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, Zara. How are you?
I'm good. Do you know what? People won't know who we are because we look so like you, especially, I think, different to how your Prospero looks like. You've got a fringe now. Like, who is she?
I have a fringe now. Yeah, I have got a fringe now.
So, Tabs, you're my first one on the show because, you know, I thought let's introduce it with Prospero, the most probably famous character, I'm assuming, from The Tempest. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to ask, do you have any like memorable bits from filming or just the show, just anything as Prospero that stuck out to you?
So there's one line that I like struggled with, and the line was I can't even remember it. Was it a stuttering kaleidoscope slowing into fractured colours as its perfect unity fails? So I'd be mid just going ballistic, and then I'm like that's a bit that sticks in my head. In general, I think the filming of the last Zoom scene was something that was really, really nice, really fun vibes, and really rewarding, because we did ours first, didn't we? Blue casted theirs, and then Red casted theirs, but we were all actually present because you found a way to hide all our boxes, so we actually watched each other's, and that experience of watching it sort of be filmed and being there was really, really cool, and is something that I will remember. And it was a great experience to have in this lockdown. It felt like a real theatrical experience, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh. Do you have any a favourite thing of the 3 years from being on acting and theatre making, or from third year? Like any, like, what's your favourite thing?
Oh wow, what a question! Sorry. I don't know. There's so many things. It's a pretty general thing, but I think the thing I'm most grateful for is it's given me a sense of security in my own knowledge, and that's mainly because I've gained so much knowledge. So I have a really good foundation and knowledge of the history of theatre and the different genres, and I know now that I can hold my own in any conversation with most people, to be fair, and I actually know what I'm talking about. It's great. I think that's the thing I've got to be most grateful for this course, is my education, and it's helped me relax and feel good about myself and feel like I know stuff, because I do know stuff.
We love that. Okay, thanks, Tabs. Coming in next to our waiting room, we have the lovely Charlotte Stuart. Welcome.
Oh, hey.
So you actually look quite similar, just as you are, to how you played Caliban, which is quite, well, Ava Caliban. I don't know, how do you want to address Ava?
Yeah, Ava.
You obviously had quite an eventful time filming After the Tempest, and the reason I've got a specific question just for you. Can you tell everyone what happened in the final Zoom scene? Which I am so sorry.
Yeah, no, I can. Yep. So basically, when I get a spell put on me by Ariel, on one of the rehearsals, we were doing it and it was all good, and I was being all possessed and stuff, and then I got really close, like my iPad was on a table, and I got really close to it, and I was still being all possessed and stuff, and I was too into it, and I like dropped to get away from like the camera so they weren't seeing how Ava had been controlled. And when I dropped, I whacked my head on the side of the table where my iPad was. And I came up and I was like, it's fine, it's all good, yeah. And then we finished that take and I was like, oh, my head is throbbing. And then I had the dirtiest bruise on my head.
It was so bad. And like, because with so that was the final rehearsal we had, and for that reason it was filmed. So I've got the footage of you like whacking your head on a table. You can't really be seen, but you can hear it. Maybe I'll try and put it in this Q&A, I don't know. I prefer you this way. I prefer you. I don't know, but you like got back up and you were like fine, and then afterwards later you were like massive, like I'm not exaggerating guys, like the lump was purple, it was gnarly, like concussion for the craft. So
yeah, you know, I worked hard.
Works hard, everybody.
I'd say the kind of process that we went through, I think it was separate for each cast, but I know for our cast it was the process of working out how we were going to make the timelines fit, because of course we had to work out for some of those what was before the Tempest because they were born then. So it was working out that as a group, and then working out what they would have been doing in the 20-year gap and what would have brought them then together. So I liked that because we were able to make up loads of different ideas, bring them together, see how they all fit. And then sometimes it was just like, oh, I think they'd be doing this, and then someone else would say something, it'd be like, that fits perfectly, but we haven't spoke about it. It was weird, but it was really nice to see like how it could just perfectly fit.
Yeah.
My favorite thing just has to be us as a cohort, I think. So it has to be how we're able to face anything together. Nothing's really stopped us. We've never gone, oh no, I don't want to do that. We've just run at it. And I think that's helped with having Alex as our course leader, because he's just been like, do what you want, go for it. Don't be shy, don't hesitate. If you want to do something, go for it. And I think that's the main thing I love about this course, that there's no boundaries, no nothing. You can do, you can experiment, and even if it goes awful, everyone is still there for you, and they're still like, right, that one didn't go great, so let's try it this way, or add that into it, or just kind of how we've been able to adapt as a group to anything that's been like given to us or opportunities.
Oh, that's making me emotional. I want to go back and do it all. Go away, tears. It's because I know you mean it. We mean it. Do you know what I mean? Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, Charlotte. Here we go. We have it. My daughter, Miranda, the one, the only.
Here I am.
Danielle Ray. Danielle Ray. Also, shout out to Danielle Ray. Just for being iconic.
Oh, no. Do you know what? It was a little bit strange, because obviously a lot of the work that we usually do is really hands-on. So it was really strange not having the initial rehearsal process where we could all get to know each other as our characters. So especially for like me and you and me and Nathan, because a lot of what I spoke about was about you two. So it was weird trying to build that sort of relationship with people who you can't be in a room with. So I think that it was just strange, because I'm not the biggest fan of like contact improvisation, but this time I really missed it. I thought that it really would have helped having it this time, especially. It was weird trying to build relationships with people who weren't there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's also weird because, you know, we've just done 2 other shows together, and me and you haven't really had to act much together this year, because obviously in Hooves and Wings we both played Kelly, iconic. And then in Lorca in New York, I don't think we had one scene together, but that was it pretty much. We didn't have anything that was too close, did we? So I think that's a really good point.
Going from nothing to playing mother and daughter.
Exactly, which obviously the family resemblance, you know, is striking.
It's uncanny.
That is such a hard question.
I know.
Do you know what? I just think we're really, really lucky, especially with third year. So third year, because we're the first ones to do it, everything's been new. So this whole third year has been like, oh my God. But I think having a group of people that understand each other has been the best thing over 3 years, because I can't imagine being in a room, because we create some weird stuff, and imagine being in a room with people who don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the trust that has developed, like, we trust each other so much, and I think the third year would not have been the same without that trust. Because a lot of it was just experimenting, because I said it last time, Hooves and Wings was probably weirder for us than anything else, because Hooves and Wings was a script that was already written, it was just given to us, whereas Lorca, we made it after the Tempest. We kind of made it, other than the script, but like the Zoom scene all came from improv. So yeah, I think it having the chance to create something new all the time and it never get boring. That's my favourite.
It's making me emotional asking all you guys this.
Because all of you are like, you know, so honest and lovely, and you're just like telling it how it is, and I'm just like, hello, Emily Hawkes.
Hiya.
How you doing?
All right. How are you?
Good, yeah.
I think for me, just playing a character that was so different from like characters I've ever played. Like, I've never done the comedy character. So for me, that was a lot of fun and something that's completely different from my personality. Whereas like someone like Nini, who played my counterpart, obviously was so much like, we so thought she fit it. And I was like, oh my God, it's such a challenge, but it was so much fun.
That's a really good answer. That's really...
Yeah. I think just generally like how we just get everything just done. Like having Alex there to lead you and to get things done. And if something gets thrown at us, we just do it again. We're just finding a way around it. And that just sticks out because we've done that since year one. So.
Oh, so short and sweet. I love that. Everyone else was like life stories. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
My spirit. Hi, Ariel.
I guess that crazy Zoom scene at the end was the strangest thing that I've done in a few months. So
I know something cool for you that might have stood out. Initially, you were going to drive and do your monologue.
Oh, don't. I did try. It was tragic times. So it was quickly a no for the drive-in.
Yeah.
I do have a few moments. It was really difficult, I must say, trying to do Shakespeare and then the actual acting bit. And we talk a lot about the whole you'll be acting and then your actor brain sort of is the one that leads you through the scene from a conscious point of view, as opposed to someone who's letting their imagination tell them the story, etc., etc. So it's kind of like I couldn't do that. I couldn't actually rely on my imagination to drive me, as well as actually tell the story as well, and then having to remember the lines, etc. Undoubtedly, the friendships that I've made and the family that I call all of the people on the course, I guess. But for anyone that's looking to get onto the course, I would probably say that the skill sets that I've developed, I know that I can walk out even during coronavirus, and say that I can offer my skills in different areas of the industry. It's not just focused on acting, and I feel
really well supported by the work that we've been trained to do. We did have modules that were focused on different areas. So it's, you know, you've got company dynamics and dramaturgy. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, we're really lucky to know all of this now, and all the writing as well. I wouldn't even class myself as a writer, but I feel like I could attempt something at least, and be confident in what I've been taught, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really well. I would totally agree. Like, we're so much more than actors. You know what I mean? You know, you'll never meet someone that is just an actor. They dabble in at least one other thing as well. So I feel exactly the same way. I also don't class myself as a writer, but I feel like I'm quite good at dramaturging, which I never thought I would be prior to the course. So like reviewing scripts and editing them and stuff, and just like pointing out little things. So yeah, you're right. You're spot on. The course is so much more than just acting or just what people think theatre making is. Like, it's such a huge bracket, and and it's I think your response is spot on. I don't know why I'm repeating it back to you. You get it. That was a little mini interview section with everybody that I thought would just be really nice, just to see everyone on a one-on-one basis and see what they say, you know, because sometimes like a group situation can be a bit much, even though we all know and love each other. Let's bring everyone together, be the ensemble that we are, even though we're obviously missing most of the people in our class, but let's bring everyone back into the Q&A and let's have some answer your questions. Let's get to the good stuff. We are back. Hello, lovely ladies. Welcome back. So we've just had some nice chats with you all. I'm actually excited for you all to see this video so you can see what all of you said, because it's really sweet. Okay, so Phoebe, you're up first. Exciting. Yeah, I know. I can tell you're very excited about that.
I don't know. I didn't really do much. I can't say I did much work. I think a lot of my personal discoveries happened when we were like still as a group doing the work together.
Yeah. Do you want to go? How did we do that? Like, what did we do in the rehearsals?
Oh, right, okay. So we would spend at least 2 hours, I think it was, something like that. At least in the first few weeks as two casts over a Zoom call. We did the table read that would have otherwise been in person over Zoom as well. And then when we moved on to the actual rehearsal section, each of us tried our best, I think, to follow the improvisation sort of rehearsal. There were sensory challenges and stuff, all sorts of different exercises that we would do over the Zoom call, and then I would just do as much as I could in my room. I feel like there must have been some people that didn't have much space at all. Then we kind of moved on, didn't we? We went to we moved into the separate casts after that, and we'd have the Zoom calls there, specifically targeted, like focusing on the end scene. It was the last few weeks were more for the monologues, so everyone would be rehearsing individually. So I found that more difficult. I didn't like that at all. Working on my own, even at home, as opposed to over the Zoom call. I preferred having the director and just everyone else's sort of thoughts to help. I don't know, it was the closest we could get to an actual rehearsal, so that was more helpful for me.
And it was obviously hard under the circumstances as well. Like, I think we can all agree, right, it was pretty difficult doing it on our own to begin with, and it got better. Obviously not everybody's cup of tea, but oh, where's that coming from?
Probably mine. It's the clock.
So I think the rehearsal process, I think we can all agree as well, was quite difficult in a sense, just because obviously for those who don't know, we had a script ready that was going to be filmed live at the White Bear, and well, obviously on a stage, and there wasn't really any monologues. There was, but it wasn't, you know, set monologue pieces. It was like, you know, scenes with other people. So Dan had to rewrite the entire script pretty much so it could be adapted under the circumstances, and because of he was rewriting it, we didn't really get the scripts until like how many weeks was it before we had to like film? Was it like some people got it like 2 weeks before, and some people got it like 5 days before, right?
I got one about a week before.
Yeah.
So I had to learn it quite quick.
And obviously, for the most part, they are 10-minute monologues, even more like, yeah. So like, it was a lot to learn. Like, I think ours was 4 pages. I think just like straight dialogue. Yeah. So I just wanted to put that in there because some people don't know how that went down. And then obviously we had the Zoom call, which we'll talk about later.
No harder than it would be for anyone else, I don't think. I know like the problem is because it's quite physical. The actual act of doing the physical stuff was difficult and very, very tiring for me personally. Preparation for it, it's the same way I prep for anything else really. You know, sort of just give myself a few minutes, think about my circumstances, actively try and relax. I use music quite a lot in my prep as well, so I'd listen to some music that I'd have from a pre-selected playlist. But the hardest thing about it was actually doing it, because it was so tiring. Yeah, by the end of it I was like sweating, shattered, but also so much fun. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was hard preparing. No harder than it would be for anyone else, in my opinion. I don't know about Charlotte though.
No, mine's like the same as yours. To prepare for that scene, I literally every time before we filmed it, I'd go back over my monologue because they're meant to like happen like just before and stuff. So I'd go over that. That just helped like stimulate the thing, and then I just have a point in the Zoom meeting where I just knew that at that point it needed to flip. I wasn't Ava anymore. I was being Caliban.
Yeah. So
that kind of helped. And like Tabatha said, like, the doing it wasn't hard, but it was exhausting physically. So like, after each one, I was dripping with sweat. It was disgusting, but I didn't feel like I had to work any harder than I did in the monologue or any other piece of acting that I do. So I think for everyone it was a difficult scene anyway because it was all new for us. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was any harder than any previous work that has been done.
And just to add to that as well, there were so many other layered circumstances with the Zoom scene. So we were all filming it live on actual Zoom. Audio issues could have happened, connectivity could have happened if somebody dropped out when they wasn't supposed to, because obviously people were being brought in and out. Prospero, we had to unmute ourselves but not unmute ourselves. Like it couldn't look like we were doing it ourselves. We had to both be present and not present. It was one of the hottest days of the year as well. Most of us, filming. I had to warn the neighbours to not call the police because of the screaming. So many other variables to that. And then obviously it's, Prosperos and Trinculos were told we could sort of ad-lib, and most of what me and Tabatha said was ad-lib, but for you guys you had to stick to your script in a sense. So like, was that quite difficult not being able to just be like, shut up?
No, I think it was because I think a part of it was because the Zoom scene was based off the improvisation we already did, so the words weren't unfamiliar because I'd already said them. I think it maybe was a little bit of getting used to listening to you screaming your head off all the way through it. But the only reason why that was difficult is because of the whole Zoom thing. Like when one person's talking, it makes everybody else's mic go quiet. And I think that was it really, other than that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that completely, that the script was based off what we'd improvised. So we improvised the scene based off the original script, and then a new script was put in. So like there were things that I said that was put in, things that Tabatha had said that put in, and well, that happened for everybody. So it was interesting having to do a new scene and you'd be like, oh, I said this, and be like, oh, I don't know this line, Tabs must have said this. Like I'm sure you all experienced that as well, where it was a funny mix of the two. Yeah. And then obviously in the final Zoom scene as well, we had a big difference of Ferdinand was in one scene and not in the other, like an artistic choice to have them in and not in, so that like changed the dynamic as well, I suppose. Yeah. When we were like, right, we're going to film it and we're going to do it, both casts, miraculous, the gods were on our side. We managed to get it out because the amount of energy required to do it is just, we've all never felt so tired. Like, there's a picture of us, maybe I'll put it in, there's a picture of us all after the scene and we're all like Tabs, did you struggle with that? Because obviously we had to talk pretty much non-stop, like it was literally like a 20-minute monologue on top of that. Did you I struggled to like hear what they were saying because I had to react, make sure I said what was needed to be said and also not. So how did you find that?
Yeah, it was a challenge. It always felt doable, but it was like a lot of concentration was required, and it had to be like a disparate concentration. So you needed to have like your like actor's head on, thinking about when do I have to say something and the logistics of things. And then also there's the other side where you're trying to give a truthful performance. So it was a lot of brain power just to be able to sort of stick to what you needed to, come in when you needed to, but deliver the truth. But it definitely felt doable. It just felt like a challenge.
Yeah, good answer.
What about you?
Me? Yeah, no, it was just I think but just filming Prosper in general, I struggled just because, you know, I live in like a attached house, neighbours on both sides. I was mostly just worried about them because they had brought it up to me outside Clack for the NHS early on. They were like, there's a lot of screaming happening in the basement, is everything okay? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm an actor. And then they were like, okay, cool, we almost called the police yesterday. And I was like, no, sorry. So I think for me it was just a case of after that I was really paranoid that someone walking past would call the police, and imagine that, like, you know, that would have been funny. So that didn't happen, luckily, but I was always just worried about like people saying things, and I couldn't have the window open, so I was in like my tiny little box room, 2 dressing gowns on, hottest day of the year thus far, and like sweltering in the heat for hours, and like I don't want to open the window in case, you know, the neighbours heard and they called the police. Or that was pretty much it. That was like my main worry, which was really silly.
I could only do rehearsals and sort of things in the middle of the day because of Wi-Fi issues and just space as well. Like, mum goes to work in the day, so I sort of only had a small period of time, and if we had anything later I was a bit panicking because I knew the Wi-Fi would stop playing up and things like that.
Charlotte, are you alright? And Danielle?
Yeah, it was alright, like it was doable, but it was just one of those things where you felt so awkward just being like to family members, like, can you get out of the room please? Like, and can you be quiet for 2 hours, like don't make a noise. Like, I know there was loads of takes where even filming monologues, like it wasn't even family. Like, I had one where I was filming a monologue, the next minute an ice cream van came up the road, and I was just like, great. So there was just no way of like getting complete silence. Like, it's just not possible when you're in an environment where you can't have like a soundproof space. So it wasn't hard, like you just had to deal with it. Like, there was some times where I was just being so nitpicky, and I was like, oh no, there was a noise, start again. And it was like, you could have just left it. But no, yeah, it was good. I think we've all got supporting families that kind of just, if you were just like, can you just shush and go, they went. So
I think we take that for granted as well, like having the rooms at uni and having everyone, you know, at the school is an actor, so they know to be quiet outside rooms and to not look in and not to be like, oh, what's going on in there? Whereas, you know, when you're filming in your home, it's like all of a sudden you're very conscious about what everybody else thinks because you're like, oh, I'm not in my safe space anymore. So yeah.
That's a really hard question because it's a bit of both. Yeah. So obviously it was a little bit difficult being able to, because of people working from home. So there was only certain times that I could, and like Charlotte said, you just have to stop being so picky with yourself and being like, I can't have this one because there's wind in the background or whatever. Like, even in the final one of my monologue, somebody sneezes halfway through it, and I was halfway through and I was like, I'm just going to carry on going. I'm just going to carry on, because it was like my 8th one that day. But I guess in some ways maybe more freeing, because it gave you more time to work on yourself and there was nobody around you to influence what you were doing, but also at the same time you just miss working with people.
It's been the hardest bit of doing After the Tempest is not being in the room with everybody else. That is by far the hardest thing. The disadvantage is really that we couldn't do it with each other, and that's just the sad thing, you know, like we wanted to do our final show together, and so we have been able to do it in a new way, and we're reaching new audiences because they might not have been able to come to see the show, but on the other side we haven't got to do it together, and you know, we've not had that, you know, even the after party, I think that's like a crucial step in any show closing. You know, you have your cries, you know, you're like, I love you forever, and then you're like, bye.
It was really weird as well, because in the original script, Francis was a person. Francis was in the original script, and it's gone from somebody who would have been playing my child to having to just imagine one.
Which that's a question later on, but we'll just bring it up now since it has. What are the big differences for each of your characters from the original script to now? So there's one big one, I think, for Prospero, but maybe Tabs wants to highlight it. I don't know. What do you think?
You go for it. Go for it.
Wait, you want me to mention it? We don't say 2 words in the final scene. The final scene, from what I remember, Prospero, nothing. Also, Prospero's in a wheelchair, which is interesting. Yeah, that was when I thought, what's the big difference between the original and this one? Prospero didn't get to speak in the final scene, which obviously I don't think we could have done that Zoom scene had Prospero not been all over the camera. Phoebe, tell us about Ariel. What's the big difference between the 2 scripts?
Well, I guess I'm in an actual car.
Yeah.
For the second one. I don't even know how we would have done that. When I first read the script, I didn't even clock that she was a taxi driver, and then suddenly I realised. That was like the main difference. I actually got to sit in a car. I mean, it was really difficult as well. Like, I had to time it right. It's not my car. I mean, it is, but it's not. I'm in my mum's car. Vroom, vroom.
Get out my car.
But yeah. That was it. That was the biggest difference from with Ariel. I would have been really interested to see what it could be like, and what we would have done with that scene. The fact that it was still set in a car.
Any big differences for Ava Caliban?
Yeah, there was a huge one. The original final scene, everyone liked Ava / Caliban. It was all, the peace was kept.
So Tabs, we played someone that was 500 years old and also like 80 or 90 years old as well. How was that? Obviously we are women in our early mid-20s. How was that?
It was really fun and really freeing. Playing a character that was so removed from myself and so far from what I actually am. Actually, in my opinion, it felt like anyway, it gave me the freedom to just go all out and just try, because at the end of the day, it's never going to be accurate because I'm not 80, and it won't be accurate until I am. So I just thought, well, let's try loads of different things. So I experimented with voices and physicality, and like tried out different shakes in different parts of my body. You know, I think arthritis was something that I did a bit of research on, and I worked on building into the character. So yeah, playing something that was totally different for me is actually really, really enjoyable. And it's always been something I've enjoyed. I love big characters and I love strange characters. And yeah, playing an old lady was a lot of fun for me because there was no pressure, because I could never actually be an old woman.
Yeah,
so
I feel the same. Yeah.
So I just had fun, genuinely, and I did enjoy it.
Yeah, because how we're trained as well, we're trained to just bring ourselves to that circumstance, and obviously no matter what role you play, you're always playing in a different set of circumstances and brackets. So we're never going to be actual wizards, unfortunately, but we can get ourselves in that mind frame of what would it be like if we had have been magical years and years ago, and we had have summoned a Tempest. And like you said, because we're not actually that age, we haven't actually experienced that, it just meant that we could have free reign of that, because also no one in the actual real living world of Earth right now has been a wizard to our knowledge. I mean, they could be out there, so it was like there's nothing to compare it to in this reality, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, exactly. So we can create our own reality,
create our own. Yeah, exactly.
Techniques.
Yeah. I think techniques it's individual, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, we all have been trained in sort of Stanislavskian based technique. So people wanted to do a bit of research into that. That's what we were trained with, and that's what we sort of go by. Along with, we've had access to other different types of training as well. So we've had more physical approaches like Grotowski. I think we've studied a bit of Myhold as well. But I think the majority of us really do resonate with that Stanislavskian based technique. So stuff like relaxation, imagination training, relax, pretend, behave, that sort of stuff.
Classic.
So classic, the mantra, relax, pretend, behave. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot to go into. Like, we wouldn't be able to cover it in this call. But if anyone wanted to look into it, you know, Stanislavskian based technique, Lee Strasberg, Uta Hagen, people like that is what we generally study. Did everyone sort of use that? We all did, didn't we? Because we did it over Zoom with them.
Yeah.
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 Yes, sir. This could be so wrong, but I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with loneliness. Yeah. That's a big theme in After the Tempest, and it's not the. I don't think it's loneliness where you are completely on your own. I think it's the loneliness of where you have people around you, but they don't understand the circumstances that you've gone through. So I think that might be a big thing for after lockdown, because of course we've all been in it, but nobody's had the same experience in it as each other. So it's not like you can come out of this and just be like, oh yeah, we all feel the same, get back to normal now. Because people have done different things, they've had different times during lockdown, they've felt different things. So I think that's a big theme that correlates with After the Tempest to the real world now, because I think one of the main things in After the Tempest is, yes, they were all on that island and they all got shoved into modern day, but they all didn't have the same outcome from it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the same to now.
Wow, that's exactly why I picked you for that question. Okay, so we had a lot of questions about like the technical side to it, so like how you filmed it and things. Were you sent camera equipment? What did you film on? I guess I mentioned at the start of the video for you guys that I'm the digital director editor, so like nobody had professional filming equipment. They all used their phones, their iPads, their laptops, their cameras. Some people had 2 cameras, so they did multicams. Nobody, I don't think, used microphones except for me. I had a microphone that was on a different camera, but for the most part you just had to make do with what you had, right, under the circumstances, and I think everyone did a pretty great job at that. Somebody else asked as well, like, how was it for the cast, so for you 5 in front of me, knowing that it was going to be made into sort of like a digital production? Like, obviously you knew it was me editing it, but it was like a question surrounding that, like, did you have faith in me, I guess, is the question. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're all like,
I don't think I would have trusted anybody else with it. It was, do you know what, I don't know if it's the same for anybody else, but it didn't actually feel like it was gonna be online until it was online.
Yeah.
So until I saw people's like pictures of my face on their telly, then I was like, oh, people are watching this. Like, I think it was really, really nice though for people, because obviously there's a lot of us on the course who are not from like the London area, so a lot of our families could never come and watch any of our shows, so it was really nice for people who normally wouldn't see anything that we were doing to be able to watch it at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the actual making it a show online, there's nobody I would have trusted with it apart from you, so great job.
Zara's fantastic. Zara also has a YouTube. She's going to put it in.
The link's going to be like in here.
Down below.
All right.
Links down below. Hit the bell button for notifications.
What you guys like. Bless you. I guess for me it was just, the editing. I just received videos of everyone, and then I just sort of had to make do, and then I was in contact with the director and making sure he liked what was being seen. But he is such a free spirit. He sort of just gave me free reign off everything anyway. Also, like, we've got some other creatives in the call with us right now. So Phoebe, we'll bring up you first. So Phoebe actually composed, like, well, you mixed 2 songs, right, but it never made it into the show, unfortunately. But that's like a big up, like the fact that you went to the effort of doing that, and even though it didn't work out artistically, like, you know, you did that for the show. Like, there was a lot of us that were involved creatively. Tabs as well, you are credited because you did some original sound mixing for us. There's some screamy sounds that happen throughout the show, and I was like, I know the gal perfect for this, you know, she can sound mix some screams for me, and you did. And then we've got
garage band.
Well, exactly. I know, but still, like, you know, we love that skills.
And yeah, definitely. It's easy. It's easy enough for like people to do if you want to make your own sound effects and stuff. Like, having a mess around in GarageBand, it's crazy the stuff you can make. And then obviously Logic, if you have Logic, even better. But yeah,
other sound mixes are available. This is not an ad.
I'm not sponsored by GarageBand.
I edited, I should have said I edited the productions on Final Cut Pro, so that's what I used in case anyone was wondering. And then we've got lovely Charlotte Stuart, but in the credits, your artistry is credited as Charlotte Williams, because, you know, why not? But you did the beautiful original drawings for us, which actually there's one over there. I'll put a picture on the screen so you can see it better. But basically Charlotte designed all these awesome pictures, and we did them for countdowns, we put it in the show, and they're just so great. And like, none of us knew that you had this wonderful innate ability, so thanks for that.
No problem.
Oh god.
Because honestly, it was so surreal, because it was like a different show. It was like I was watching it, but I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? Oh my god, it was so good.
It's weird. It's just weird, isn't it? Like, watching your, and like when we did it like a cast viewing party for both of the previews, and like anytime anyone's monologue came on, they were like this. They were like, look at me. You know what I mean? It's just really funny.
Charlotte was the funniest, because you could see Charlotte being like looking at her family, who were definitely like, oh look at you on the telly.
But it was also,
I was like shouting at myself, like, why are you taking such a long pause? Hurry up, quicker. Why?
Yeah, you like critique yourself, watching yourself. Yeah,
that's why I walked out of the room, don't worry.
Actors.
Like, I don't know about other people, but like before, like, because we all know the order, before it I was like having sweaty hands and my heart was racing, and I was like, I can't change it, like, it's already done. I can't, why am I stressing?
You did it weeks
like,
ago.
my heart was like...
Phoebe, so you're obviously monologue as well. Was it interesting seeing it done completely in English from Robin, and also how we're speaking French? And sorry, I forgot to mention it earlier.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, saw Robin recently for essential travel. I was moving out of my flat, and we were talking about the lines, and she would say some of the lines from the monologue quite casually or whatever, and then I'd be like, I don't remember that one. Because quite early on we were having our one-to-ones with the director, and he said, would you be able to say some of that in French? So yeah, I improvised the monologue in French. It was awful, and he was like, well, that sounds cool, so I think we'll if you can translate the monologue into French and then record some of it, I'll see which bits I want to hear in French or whatever. And then yeah, so it was, he said that it made no sense for Dan said that it made no sense for the character to not be bilingual if I was. It was fun, and I think it made a lot of sense. It came quite naturally to me in the end, and once I've learnt the lines in French as well as in English, I didn't really need to think about it. So it was quite a smooth transition into French, funnily enough. I mean, I think we decided like maybe a day or two before we wanted to start filming that was what we were going to do, and then yeah, it worked, I think. it was so great seeing the play done by a completely different cast.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already experienced that anyway with Hooves and Wings. And yeah, I was very, very fascinated, I guess. It's so cool having a cast.
It was.
Yeah,
especially like watching the Zoom call. No, exactly that, proud. Like I just felt like really proud watching everyone and do their thing and bring themselves to the circumstances and to the character, you know, and seeing like there's a bit at the end that Tabatha in your monologue in the Prospero monologue where just after you sung Fathom Thigh and like you were like rocking and then you just went and you like laughed, and it was such a you thing that you do laugh like that sometimes, so it's just like really fun like seeing you, but also it isn't you, it's you like absolutely mentally crazy and wild and stuff, and like everyone did that. Do you know what I mean? It was just really, I know we're one to speak, but because we all know each other, we're all friends with each other as well, we're so close, it's like just sense of pride watching everyone get to do their thing. And you know, the video is now being viewed by like hundreds of people. Like it's doing quite well, so if you've not seen it, you probably shouldn't be watching this video because we've ruined it for you. But the videos are going to be available until the 3rd of July. So that's pretty much it. That wraps up our Q&A, unless anybody has anything they want to add to that. No. Thank you so much for watching, you at home. I hope this has been interesting. It hasn't been too confusing because obviously we've jumped around a little bit in place, but thank you for watching, thank you for supporting, and check out our social medias at LCM Acting THM if you have any more things that you want to look at or check out, or just inbox us. All of us are always happy to answer questions for prospective students, creatives, anything. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you when we see you, but probably not. It'll be a group of the new second years coming up, which we'll all go and watch their shows and things. So yeah, that's it from us. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.